Welcome to the Conscious Classroom podcast, where we're exploring tools and perspectives that support educators and anyone who works with teams to create more conscious, supportive, and enriching learning environments. I'm your host, Amy Edelstein, and I'll be sharing transformative insights and easy-to-implement classroom supports that are all drawn from mindful awareness and systems thinking. The themes we'll discuss are designed to improve your own joy and fulfillment in your work and increase your impact on the world we share. Let's get on with this next episode. Hello, and welcome to the Conscious Classroom. My name is Amy Edelstein. Today we're going to talk about choice. We're going to talk about the importance of empowering students with choice, of giving them more choices, and of using the tools of mindful awareness to help them realize a degree of choice that they may not have even appreciated that they had before. So let's start with the sense of agency, autonomy, self-respect, and experiencing that sense of being respected by others. We all want to feel respected and empowered. We all want to feel like those we respect and care about and those who are in a position of authority trust us, value our input and our feelings about things, and are willing to listen and care about the choices that we make. Very important for students. Obviously in the classroom, the power dynamics are set. The teacher is the authority. They give grades, they hold discipline, they start and end things, and they have the information that they're imparting. How do we help students feel like the classroom is a collaborative of learning, where as teachers we maintain authority and discipline and structure, which provides safety. It helps students be able to trust. If the teacher doesn't have enough authority, then students feel at sea. They don't feel that the environment is safe. So having that strong, clear set of expectations and boundaries that are set by the teacher is so very important. But for students to feel like their voice matters, we want to create a collaborative learning environment. We want to create an environment where we're all investigating the process of discovery. We're all listening deeply to each other. We're all leaning in and learning from creative ways to think, to experience, and to problem solve. Mindful awareness is a perfect tool to use to empower that sense of egalitarianism while maintaining authority. Our inner experience is our own. So when we close our eyes and allow ourselves to be still, any one of us may experience a type of stillness that we can describe very differently than the person sitting next to us who experienced stillness. Do we feel it in our body? Do we feel it as a color? Do we feel it as music? Do our thoughts settle down? Do our thoughts turn to happier times? What happens? We can explore that together, and each student's contribution and choice of words and choice of imagery is valued. And simply because we happen to be the teachers of the classroom and the holding space in the meditation doesn't change the importance of the student's own experience. So the choice for how we relate to our practice is important to inculcate in students. They can choose their own words. If you find that you're teaching various mindful awareness practices and the students seem to always repeat your own words in describing their experience, then there's not enough range being encouraged. There's not enough range of experience and choice over expression. So if you seem to start hearing your own words being parroted back to you and describing a feeling of being still or calm or happy or relaxed, start looking for nuance. Challenge the students to choose words that they haven't used before. Challenge the students to find new ways to describe calm or peace or stillness using different senses. How would you describe the feeling of calm using the sense door of smell? How would you describe the feeling of being loved using the sense of touch instead of the sense of feeling? Encourage that curiosity and that engagement and that sense of autonomy over their own expression and interpretation. You're stimulating their imagination, and you're also teaching them to value their own process. And for students to be able to experience a sense of choice over how they're describing their inner world, rather than trying to get it right, is a sense of self-value, self-esteem, and self-respect that will serve them their entire lives. Now, specifically, of course, you can give your students choice over what would you like to practice today. Would you like to do thought bubble, sound, or loving kindness? Oh, there are 32 students in the class. I need at least 6 to weigh in. I usually go for a good 20%. And if I don't get 20%, I will call on different students and I'll say, okay, we've got 3 breaths. We've got 1 thought bubble. Let's hear from a few more. Let's make sure that that is what everyone, the majority of students are choosing. Maybe we'll do the other one at the end of the day. Maybe we'll do the other one tomorrow. But we make sure to communicate that students' choices are valued, that it's important that they express themselves, and it's important that we're choosing to listen to more voices than the 1 or 2 that always speak up first. So choosing which meditation to practice, choosing how to express themselves, very important aspects of creating this sense of differentiation and value and autonomy. The other ways that we can give students choice is choosing the order of how we do things. Would you like to hear the explanation first, or would you like to dive straight into the practice and experience it and then discuss what it is? As a teacher, we may have our habits. We may like to explain first and demonstrate second, explain first and do the activity second. Or we may like to give students an experiential immersion before we discuss how and why that particular mindfulness practice can help. So sometimes with love and kindness, it's just great to dive straight in. You can start off the session that way. And then explore, how do you think this could help? What do you think this is for? Do you think this could even have an impact on your brain? What would you be curious, what are you curious about? Is there someone particular that came to mind that you weren't expecting? Did you enjoy choosing who you were thinking about when you were sending wishes of love and kindness? Once you start putting attention on the ways that you can give students choice, the ways you can invite their words in, the ways you can invite their experience in, you'll start seeing options everywhere for it. Now, the beauty of mindfulness practice is that we're all following very simple, easy instructions. We're all exploring our own experience, not the right experience, not the textbook experience, but our own experience. Students need to learn how to even identify their own experience, and often adults do too, to identify why they're feeling what they're feeling, or what the difference is between a feeling of agitation today and a feeling of agitation yesterday. What are the different practices that help create a sense of well-being? And isn't it interesting? One works one day and one doesn't work the next day. Using free-form journal and self-reflection questions in class can be taught as part of mindfulness and then incorporated into your lesson plans. When students get to free-form write about their thoughts, they start to experience a sense of greater acceptance of themselves as they are. And that's also the power of choice and validation. They're not conforming to the right answer. They're uncovering and discovering and expressing and articulating, not for anyone else to see or to like, not so they gain social credibility and value, but simply for themselves. And while the internet has done incredible things to help us articulate and express ourselves, and art forms are no longer for the few who have access to studios, but for anyone who has access to a smartphone, that's a beautiful thing. But what happens often for young people's creativity is they're looking for outside validation and affirmation rather than valuing their own sense of choice and expression and creativity and discovery. All these things are so linked, we can't really separate them one from another. Another way to build in choice with the mindfulness discussions and the peer group discussions on the practices is to ask students how they want to discuss. Do you want to be in groups of 3, 4, or 5? Do you want to have anyone start, or do you want to have the person who starts be the person whose name begins closest to the front of the alphabet? Do you want to choose a note taker, or do you want me to assign one? All of those procedural process questions or decisions that often get made by the teacher simply because it's expedient can be used to offer little moments of buy-in, little moments of choice, so that students feel like they're co-creating the environment. And when they're co-creating the environment, they're more apt to speak up and participate. And those little choices, whether you do groups of 3, 4, or 5, to a teacher doesn't really matter. But for a student, then they feel like their preferences have had a place. And when their preferences have had a place, they feel closer to the teacher, to each other, and to the whole process of what you're learning. In the digital age, with so many classrooms only meeting virtually this year, as all of my classrooms are only meeting virtually this year, it is hard to get buy-in. I use the chat function all the time. And I will call on individuals by name and just say, Okay, Siobhan, just put it in the chat. Okay, Daniel, what do you think? Put it in the chat. I still only have 3 people. I need 4 or 5 more. Okay, Kylie, Brianna, Tamir, add your comments to the chat so we can get a sense of the whole. So always like pointing to where you're going, making it inviting to participate, not forcing them to have their voice down, but saying, we need to see what the whole class feels like. Does everyone agree? Well, let's hear from 3, 4, 5 more people. Let's see. Maybe it's just the first 2 who felt calm. Maybe everyone else felt sleepy. Did you feel sleepy? I felt sleepy. What was that mindfulness practice like for you? Keep building in possibilities to express, possibilities to articulate. As a teacher also, as an educator, it's good for the students and it's good for the classroom. And also in these days where we just feel so burnt out, there are so many demands. Every time we go to do something, we have to set up 5 steps of a new online account or learn a new piece of software or rebuild our curricula that we've been teaching for years. And it's just so much work. And that sense that your students are co-creating and inviting themselves into the process of the classroom helps remove burdens from your own shoulders. And then you feel like you're not the only one. And with mindfulness, even though you really want your students to engage with the practices themselves, it can be important because of trauma, because of anxiety, to give students a way to feel a little differently about the practice. We're going to do a body scan. For those of you who feel uncomfortable doing the body scan, feel like you're going to fall asleep doing a body scan, you can draw a picture of the body. You can draw a stick figure, or you can draw a life-like figure, and color in with your pencil, or if you have any markers, color in different sensations into the body that you colored. You can also use your self-reflection journal, and you can write out feelings as I guide you through the meditation. Give them choice. Because we often can't see our students, they may not have cameras on, we need to find ways to allow those students who are having a hard time, who are feeling too anxious to practice the mindfulness you're doing, who are distracted or worried, give them something else that feels like a more accessible activity. Allow them to reach for something that they can grasp. We do that as teachers all the time in the classroom. We walk around, we see who's able to respond, who's not. We come up with alternative inroads just on the spur of the moment because we see that a student isn't quite grasping or isn't quite able, for whatever reason, to engage in the activity we've set up. When videos are off, we're just guessing. So I'm going to walk through 2 different mindfulness practices right now, and I'm going to offer you choice with both of them. So you can feel into a way that you can empower your students, extend trust and respect for their own process and their own preferences, and enrich your own teaching and the classroom practice of mindfulness together. So let's start with a breath meditation. In this meditation, there are 3 ways that you can observe your breath. You can either notice it at the tip of your nose as the air goes in and the air goes out, Or you can rest one hand on your lungs and one hand on your belly. And notice how your lungs move in and out as the air goes in and the air goes out. Or you can use breathing hands. So resting your hands just a couple inches above your lap. And when you inhale, it's like blowing up a balloon. Allow your hands to float away from each other. And when you exhale, allow your hands to float towards each other. And as we do the mindful breathing, you can watch your hands floating in on the exhale, floating out on the inhale, expanding on the inhale, coming near each other on the exhale. So you can practice any of these ways. Choose the style that you want to practice, and once you choose, stick with it. Give it a chance. And tomorrow you can always choose a different way to practice. So let's begin. Bring yourself into a comfortable seated position with your spine tall and your vertebrae stacked and your head just balanced at the top of your neck. So balanced, so in alignment that it's almost weightless. Notice gravity pulling you into the chair and the chair holding you up. Notice the floor firm under your feet. And now choose how you want to practice, noticing the air at the tip of your nose, resting your hands on your belly or lungs, or watching your breathing hands. I'm going to give you guidance for the breathing hands, but you can do whichever style you'd like. So begin now noticing your whole body, head to foot. Notice your whole body, feeling it. And now bring your attention to your breath. And on your next inhalation, as you breathe in, notice your hands floating away from each other, expanding with the inhalation. And on your natural exhalation, allow the hands to come towards each other, gently floating back. Inhaling at your own pace and exhaling at your own pace. Really allowing the breath to be just as it wants to be. And you just rest your attention on your hands floating out as you inhale, and your hands flowing back towards each other as you exhale. Resting your attention, being easy, and simply noticing. Be easy. Connecting with your own breath. The little movements you notice, the temperature, thought, and feeling. Letting your hands float out on the inhalation, letting your hands float back on the exhalation. as you begin to bring your attention back, noticing any shifts in your experience, begin to observe the shapes and objects in the room around you, wiggling your fingers and toes and bringing your attention fully back from that focus. As you invite the students to explore their experience, you can find out how many students chose hands, how many students chose to watch just the air going in and out, how many students chose resting their hands on their lungs and their belly. Continually affirming that choice was there, that options were there, and that any were acceptable. And in our final demonstration of choice, the love and kindness, of course, is a very powerful one because it's so personal and the students feel so connected to it. Who would you like to send love and kindness to? Would you like to send to somebody you care about? Would you like to send to yourself? Would you like to send to somebody you don't know well? Would you like to send to somebody you're irritated with? Have them choose. Who will be the recipients of their good wishes and care? Would you like to choose one person? Would you like to choose a group of people? Would you like to choose an animal or a pet? And then make sure you get enough voices and choose that one for the day. And once you choose which category we're going to send our good wishes to, invite the students to each person to give a good wish. If there are 30 or 40 students in the class, it can get a little unwieldy, but get at least 8, because that will give you a couple opportunities and ways to work those good wishes into the practice that you extend. Let's close with a love and kindness and sending good wishes to ourselves and good wishes to all of those we know who work with youth. May I be patient with myself and my class. May I be loving of myself and those I work with. May I be supportive of myself with so many things I'm learning. And may I always experience calm, kindness, and care. Take a few moments to send yourself any other good wishes you would like, extending to yourself support, understanding, compassion, admiration, respect, and love. And now let's picture all of this. And now let's picture all of the educators, all of the people we know who work with youth, And let's send them this wish. May we all be patient with ourselves and our teaching. May we all feel valued for the encouragement we bring to our students and youth. May we all be supported by our colleagues and peers. And may we always be surrounded by atmospheres of care, compassion, and respect. Bring to mind all of the educators you know, all of those who give of themselves to inspire growth and creativity. Send them any wishes. Include yourself. And we can close with that. Take care of yourself, stay healthy, and I look forward to our next session. Thank you for listening to The Conscious Classroom. I'm your host, Amy Edelstein. Please check out the show notes on innerstrengthfoundation.net for links and more information. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with a friend and pass the love on. See you next time.